Esports physical recovery. Absolutely. You're watching Esports Center powered by Extreme Networks. And today I'm joined by Dan Canina, Director of Global Performance, and Alex Clark, Account Specialist for Hockey, Lacrosse, and Esports from HyperIce. Thank you both so much for joining me virtually today. How are you?
We're great. Thank you, Erica. Awesome
Thank
to
you.
be here.
Doing awesome.
Wonderful. So let's kick it off. Extreme, like Extreme, we have very close relationships with the NFL and MLB, as HyperIce does as well. But you guys are the official recovery technology partner for these major organizations. Exciting times, by the way. World Series happening here in Dallas. Anybody a fan? Yeah, I
Oh
would
yeah,
assume so, right?
absolutely.
So, Dan, first of all, thank you both so much, Alex, as well, for sponsoring so many great prizes for the recent Extreme Level Up Arcade that we had just a little bit of time back. But I know you've been partnering with different organizations within the esports community. Can you tell me a little bit about the relationships and the direction that HyperIce is taking to engage the HyperIce brand with the esports community?
Absolutely. So thank you again, Erica, for having us, first of all. And yeah, it was awesome to be able to support with some prizes. We're looking forward to a bright future and continuing to do some cool things with Extreme Networks. But yeah, we're riding this really just awesome wave of momentum right now. We have so many cool things happening. I think that esports is a huge market for us, and there's a ton of potential for us in that. But kind of looking at the big picture and where we are today as a brand, earlier this year, of course, HyperIce acquired Normatec, where Alex and I were actually both working prior to that acquisition. And with that, we created this just superpower and this global company with an entire suite and this ecosystem of products that can help all types of athletes and individuals with their recovery, their health, just overall feeling better, moving better. And that's really our mission as a company, is to help everybody on the planet just be better and feel their best. And you're seeing across sports, really in the last few years, a lot of these professional organizations and leagues and different sports properties are really sort of finally catching on to what we've been preaching for the better part of a decade, in that your recovery, your emphasis on making sure to take care of yourself and get yourself back to 100%, so you can get back at it the next day. It's just as important as the training itself for a lot of these elite athletes that we've worked with historically for so many years. So with just this, such great relationships that we've had across all professional sports here in the US, but also globally, the US Olympic Committee, those organizations have really helped shape the product where it is today. And for many years, our tech was sort of a secret tool of those athletes to help them reach their peak potential. Now we're growing so rapidly, and we have really such a wide reach that we can help everybody access that same tech and really unlock their best self. And where esports has come in is in working so closely with our NBA, NFL, and other professional athletes. They really were the first ones that helped sort of give us some insight into, in esports, what an esports athlete actually goes through and the type of issues that they can have, and some of the things that are sort of hindering them from having that constant peak performance. And so it was really eye-opening. I think guys like Juju Smith-Schuster, for example, who's been a HyperIce athlete for a couple of years now. He's an avid esports guy himself, and he really, I think, gave us a lot of information that helped Alex, myself, and really our entire team shape our direction in the community to make sure that we're helping all of these people and really giving them all the tools that they need to just be their best. And like I said, no longer are we sort of the secret tool used at the high performance training center of the Olympic Committee, or in the training room of the Kansas City Chiefs and all these other teams, but we're readily available and very easily accessible for all types of people at home, wherever they are, to just allow them to really have that best performance possible. So it's a really exciting time for us.
The secret is out, Dan. I went into my gym just a couple of days ago, and the first thing I saw as soon as I walked in was HyperIce equipment
Mhm.
technology just
Yep.
sitting right there. And I go, oh, wow. So definitely it's not reserved for the elite athlete anymore. And it's accessible to so many different walks of life, performing all different types of athletic or physical activity. And you know what? I would even venture to say sitting at a desk all day definitely requires some PT for sure. But you talked about
Absolutely.
the transition, and you know what's interesting about what you said, I find esports actually fits into your mission statement there very nicely. I mean, it knows no boundaries. It's all walks
Mhm.
of life, anybody can play, and you see professional athletes even taking to it as well, more and more and more people coming out of the closet, so to speak, saying, hey, it's, you know, it's 2020, we can admit that we play games. So with that, the accessibility to offer HyperIce technology to all different types of athletes, including gamers, right?
Mhm.
I think that it's the right time. Would you agree to really make that brand, your brand, so engaging and accessible to so many different people, especially with a game that is so inclusive?
Yeah, 100%. I think you're absolutely right. And where esports is today, obviously, um, you'll know this much better than us. It has come so far. I think that a lot of those walls have been broken down. There aren't the same maybe stigmas that there were years ago with being an esports gamer and kind of being in this community. And I think it's amazing what a lot of these athletes, professional athletes, with the platforms that they have done for esports in helping it kind of come, become more popular and come to the masses in a lot of ways, and allow those people to sort of come out of the closet and say like, oh yeah, I'm on
Yeah.
every night. Like this is I love this. Um, so yeah, I think also the whole COVID situation has really, I think, you can see in just the numbers of Twitch hours that people are watching, the different subscriptions across all the platforms and hours that people are playing in these different games and leagues. It's, I think there are a few things that COVID have helped, but the gaming industry, I think, has been one of them. Um, and with that, I think that you were just seeing more and more of this need, and more of an application for our tech as more and more people are starting to come out and get more involved. So
Yeah.
it's definitely lining up for us right now.
Speaking of getting more involved, Alex, you guys, like I said, sponsored with prizes, amazing, amazing gifts for the players that were in the raffle, or yeah, in the raffle of our Level Up Arcade that was all conducted virtually. Very cool that you can do these types of things with esports. So what are the types of activities that you're engaging with these various organizations, say, besides Extreme Networks, CS, Collegiate Sports Management Group, CSMG, ESTV, ECAC? These are all building organizations and leagues and conferences that are creating this dynamic community around esports for schools.
Yeah, so absolutely. Right now, because we are so green in the esports world, we're just trying to build as many relationships as possible. And Thomas O'Keefe has been a great bridge to help get that done over at the Collegiate Sports Management Group, getting all these esports arcade, the GamerCon that was this past weekend, and just helping us get our names out there and having the opportunity to really provide these athletes with the prize packages that we're able to. And get our product to the front of their minds, because right now, as we are so green, getting the product on them and having them use it and feel the benefits, and being able to recover and prehab before these long streams is great for them, because we do have the products to keep their backs warm, their hands warm, their hands from cramping up when they're using the mouse or the controller for a long period of time. And that's been great for that. And then we also have some bigger conversations with some other groups where we're actually building out our traditional recovery rooms, which we do with our pro teams and our collegiate teams for these esports teams as well. So they'll actually have access to all of our equipment before and after streams and competitions. So right now we're really in that grassroots world of just building and getting our name out there in the esports world, and making it as common as buying a new controller every 2-3 months.
Yeah, you know what? Making it as common is definitely right on point. I mean, it's grown tremendously. The movement is exciting, but I will say you're right on time, right? esports is kind of like the wild, wild west when it comes to building these communities and building out the ecosystem, the recruitment cycles between high school and college and even professional levels if they want to take it there. So I think it's the perfect timing. And a part of what you said actually really resonated with me when you talk about prehab. Because, with the Level Up Arcade, we had amazing sponsorship and support from ESTV and the NFL alumni organization with Amon Green, Shane Vereen, and Rock Vereen. They were casting matches and having a lot of fun. I'm pretty sure Shane bombed at Rocket League, so I can't judge him too much actually, 'cause I'm terrible. But it was very comical, a lot of fun to have them on board. What is it like when we talked to Amon and crew? Amon said very prophetically, prehab before you need to rehab. What is it about esports that requires any kind of prehab or even rehab for that matter?
Yeah, so and that's a great question. And we have some really cool stuff that helps with that. But if you think, you mentioned earlier, sitting at your desk for the full day, your back starts to hurt. Sitting with your hands up at the computer, your hands start to cramp up. And a great way that we're able to combat that is by using our Hypersphere Mini, which is just this small lacrosse-sized ball that vibrates, turning it on and putting it in your hand to get that blood flow moving. And same thing with our Venom Back, which are both prizes we gave out at the Esports Arcade. But what they'll do is they'll get the blood flow moving and help warm you up. And then if you do get that tightness in your hand, then you can throw it right back on or hold the ball a little bit more. And that's what's great about our stuff. It's so small, so easy to use. And it allows you to really prehab before you have to rehab. Because if you don't do that, then your hand could cramp up. You could start to get those carpal tunnels and tendonitis and all that bad stuff. But this is a way to really start helping prevent that. And then you can use it throughout the entire time that you're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, because you think about what they're doing when they're sitting in front of this screen playing whichever game of choice. I mean, it's not like they're lounging, relaxing, their body is loose. They're engaging with intensity, their hand muscles for hours on end and just editing shows for Esports Center. At one point, I had the same issue and I thought, "Oh my gosh, now I understand. This must be painful because you're tensing up your muscles for such a long period of time and the levels of stress and adrenaline you have pumping through you. Even if you're crouched a little bit, sometimes we don't recognize when we start to do that. And that can hurt your back muscles. And you just feel like you need to completely stretch out once you step away from that screen. These players might be there for, let's say conservatively 4 hours straight at a time, and even more in some cases. So I definitely concur. And I also want that little device you held there. Can I see that again? We need a second view of that. I need that in my life.
That HyperSphere Mini is one of my favorite tools that HyperIce has, actually. It's so versatile and the applications are honestly, they're endless. I think it's incredible.
Super targeted. You can get really anywhere you want, but I use specifically for my hands. That's why it's right next to my computer. So if I have them starting to tighten up, I just throw this ball in there, it gets them warmed right back up, and I'm good to go.
Yep.
You know what? The next time I see you both virtually, I'm going to hold a Hypersphere ball in my hand because that's exactly what I need as well. So it really extends beyond just esports, right? That anybody can use this. I mean, my mom's been in dental for the last 31 years, and she had to actually start looking into a new career opportunity because carpal tunnel started to set into her hands. And so this is really not about specifically it's one demographic or one type of activity that needs to be focused on prehab before rehab. It's really pretty much anything that you do, taking care of your body, investing back into your body and replenishing it, not just through nutrients, but also through, that yoga, stretching, and recovery, and, working out those nerves and those muscles that you're using so intently all day long. That's cool.
Absolutely.
I kind of live by and was told years ago, back right when I graduated college, is if you have a body, you're an athlete. And that's where if you can move, or even if you can't move, you're still an athlete. You have a body, and you got to take care of that body because that's really your temple. And this equipment's a great way to start that process of taking care of yourself.
Yeah,
Hey,
I think to your point, Erica.
You might not be a great athlete, but you're one, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And a big element of what we do, really all sorts of professionals are using our technology every day, and we have a lot a lot of our tech being used in like PT Cairo space and spa and hospitality and wellness centers. But a big element, and one of the, I think some of the best feedback that we get from those different types of facilities and businesses is the self-care initiatives that they implement with our technologies. And if you're a massage therapist, for example, you are doing manual manipulation, working with your hands for 8, 9, 10 hours a day, every day, you're going to burn yourself out. And if you look at within the industry, those burnout rates, it's pretty quick. People usually spend a few years and then they might just, it's too much. So if they're able to emphasize that self-care, and it's a great value add for the clients and the customers who are coming in, but at the end of every day, use the Normatec and flush out all those toxins and inflammation. Use the Hypersphere Mini, get that blood flow going in between your different sessions and your treatments throughout the day. You're going to have just a longer, better career. You're going to feel better every day. And that's, if we can help people with that, I think we're doing something right. So
you're definitely on the right track to accomplishing that mission. I can see it now, HyperIce in every esports arena, right? I can see it now, and I'm really excited about that, especially getting some of that equipment here at my home office. But tell me, we always love to hear, the testimony of the person that uses it, particularly those athletes themselves, right? So what's been the response from, say the NFL players that you've worked with that are actually like Juju, that are also is a fan of esports, and also the esports gamers themselves? What's been their response to leveraging this type of recovery technology?
They can't live without it. I think is really, once you use it, it's one of those things where it's becoming much more popular, and we're more recognized now, of course, than we were years ago. But the Normatec boots, for example, people would used to come by an event, take a look and kind of, take a double take. What are those big boots filled with air on somebody's legs? But once you actually get in and you experience it, you stand up, and 20 minutes later, you can actually feel the difference in how you're walking and how much spring you have in your step and things like that. You can't go back, as a marathon runner, or somebody that just goes out and plays pickup basketball and gets tired legs, or anybody. It's one of those things that once you start using it, it changes your quality of life so significantly that it's hard to go back to the way things were before you had access to this technology. So our, across professional sports, the NFL, for example, it's really, it's as much a part of what these athletes are using on a daily basis for their preparation as anything else. We have a lot of recovery rooms, like Alex mentioned, built out in these teams' facilities. We have the players with products at home, so they're using it in the convenience of their own home, on the couch, watching a movie at the end of the night with their family. It's everywhere, and it's just become a huge part of what they're doing to be their best.
Yeah. Alex, I feel like you were chiming in there. Go ahead.
Yeah, one of the cooler things that I've experienced so far in my time with Normatec and HyperIce was at the Chicago Marathon last year. During the expo, before these athletes actually ran the marathon, we had a line at our expo booth to use the boots that was about 2.5 hours long to wait. And that's before they ran the marathon. But that's just how badly these athletes wanted to get in there, get a leg flush, just to feel rejuvenated for the marathon the next day, which was mind-blowing for me to hear that.
Wow. I'm going to have to look into these boots a little more. They sound extremely intriguing. I used to run maybe 7 miles at a time, no problem. Now I get past 1 mile and my right knee starts to ache, and I'm like, okay, so these boots of yours.
Yeah,
they're meant for
magic.
walking.
They're Dan and my bread and butter. Dan was with Normatec for forever before the acquisition. I was there for about a year. And it's great. They're pulsating air compression. And what it does, it starts at the foot and it pulsates with the compression, moving all the fluid, the lactic acid metabolites from your foot all into the core of your body. What that's going to do, it's going to help you feel lighter on your legs, a little bit more flexibility, and just more rejuvenated, fresher, faster. That's what we always say, feel fresh faster.
Feel fresh
and
faster.
we have them for your arms also. Same thing, starting at the hand, wrist, moving up to the shoulders. Just eliminates all that excess fluid that's pooling in the arms, gets you just feeling fresh and light again, and back to 100% for the next day.
Yeah. And for out of one of the major esports tournaments, like World Championship, those would be, I think, game changing for some of the athletes that are there in those high stress situations. just because they got to be able to move so quick. And especially with the mouse moving that around so fast, it would be a great value for them.
Absolutely. I think I can see now why you say they're hooked. They can never live without it. I'm going to be saying that to you guys as soon as I get some HyperIce gear back, back at this house. Yeah, I'll be emailing you both saying, yeah, I concur completely. I'm actually very excited to try my runs again after trying these boots. Very cool stuff. Thank you both so much for joining me today and sharing what all the excitement is around HyperIce and why athletes all over the world of all walks of life and all different types of movement are loving what they're getting from HyperIce and how they're feeling. You guys are awesome. I can't wait to talk to you again. And of course, we'll have to make sure you include some more prizes in the upcoming events we have. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Erica.
You're watching Esports Center, and that's all we got for today. Until then, I'll see you next time.